Good evening all. It is my privilege to introduce today's moderator, Ms. Sarabi Vyas. With 9 years of experience as a primary school English teacher, Ms. Sarabi Vyas currently serves as the Associate Coordinator for the primary segment at the Sri Ram Universal School, Hyderabad. She has successfully implemented active learning strategies and created child-centric learning environments that significantly boost student engagement and foster a love for learning. Under her leadership, the school has seen remarkable improvements in student performance and overall well-being. Her dynamic and inclusive approach to education ensures that each student's unique needs are met, allowing them to thrive both academically and personally. Ms. Sarabi's dedication and innovative methods have made her a respected and influential figure in the field of education. Hearty welcome, Ms. Sarabi. Please proceed. We wish you all the best.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir, for that lovely introduction. Good evening, everyone, and warm greetings from Extra Mile. Extra Mile, founded by the visionary Dr. Abdul Salam of BTAG, is an elite platform for both online and offline training. With a strong network of expert trainers, Extra Mile is poised to deliver on-demand, on-site training throughout India. Before we begin, I would like to express my heartfelt gratitude to Dr. Abdul Salam and Extra Mile Education and Training for this wonderful opportunity. A warm welcome to all the participants as we embark on this enriching journey, focusing on tips and tricks to excel in CBSE Science Board Exams 2025. Continuing its mission of innovation, BTAG and Extra Mile Education and Training, with the expertise of the exceptionally talented resource person, Ms. Poonam Saxena, are excited to share valuable insights during this session. I am privileged to welcome Dr. Abdul Salam, a distinguished CBSE resource person and master trainer who has made significant contributions to the education sector. Dr. Salam serves as an assessor for the National Accreditation Board for Education and Training under the Government of India. He is also the visionary founder and CEO of Extra Mile Education and Training and Bharat Transformers Academy Group. Sir, I invite you to deliver the welcome address.
Thank you, Ms. Sarabi, respected resource person, and the star resource person of Extra Mile, and Mr. Bijuas Pillai, all those who have joined, all educators, teachers, and even students have joined today to listen to Poonam Saxena, ma'am. As the exam fever is gripping everyone, it is our responsibility to ease, the tension they are, having. We should not let the tension mount up and grip them. And so we invite all the educators to listen to Poonam Saxena ma'am, who is the right person to clear all the doubts with regard to the paper, the concepts and all. We have been, Poonam Saxena, and we all have been, as a team, have been traveling for many years. In fact, there was a gap of 2 years, I believe. Last time we met at the master training, CBSE master training in Delhi. After that, in everybody's field, we were busy, but still we are very glad to have Poonam madam back on our platform. Thank you so much for offering this session, ma'am. Definitely, we are very sure that this will, throw so much light on the dark areas which everybody may be having with regard to the paper. So let's listen to Poonam ma'am. Thank you so much for joining. Hearty welcome once again to Extra Mile Education and Training.
Thank you.
Over to Sarabi ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you, Salam, sir, for the warm welcome and setting the stage for today's discussion. Ladies and gentlemen, we are also privileged to have Mr. Bijuas Pillai, the co-founder of BTAG, with us today. With vast experience in the education sector, including his role as principal of several renowned CBSE schools, Mr. Pillai has made significant contributions to this field. Sir, it is a true honor to have you with us today. I now invite you to address the gathering and share your valuable insights.
Thank you, Sarabi ma'am. Most respected Program Director, Dr. Abdul Salam sir, resource person Poonam Saxena ma'am, and all other educators and my dear children. So it's high time that we have already almost all the schools might have completed their portions, and slightly teachers might be started focusing on the revision side. So uh, as the children are more curious, the teachers also will be more curious in collecting more and more MCQ questions from all the lessons and case studies. So today, 2 hours, we'll be listening to Poonam Saxena ma'am, who is a very good scholar and a very experienced science teacher who can help us in all the ways. So, my dear children, you can also take the most advantage out of it and have a wonderful evening. Take maximum knowledge and get prepared for the coming board examination. Thank you all for joining this evening. Thank you. Back to Surabhi ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your kind words. Dear educators, now we shall proceed to the highlight of today's webinar. Today, amidst us, we have Ms. Poonam Saxena, the resource person for today's session. With 30 years of experience in the education industry, Ms. Poonam Saxena is a training coordinator, hub leader, CBSE resource person, master trainer of the Health and Wellness Program, and founder principal of Scholars Global School since 2012. Mrs. Poonam Saxena was awarded as the Inspiring Leader by Kiran Bedi in an event organized by Rocksport. She was also selected as one of the most effective 100 Principals of the Year 2016, in which almost 2,600 principals had participated. She was also accorded with the Rabindranath Samman by an NGO. She received the Principal of the Year award in 2022 by Brain Wonders and was recently awarded by Dr. Kalam International Foundation in the category of Leadership Excellence Awards 2024. Ma'am, it is truly a privilege to have you with us as a speaker for today's session on tips and tricks to excel in the science board exams. On behalf of everyone present here, I extend a warm and heartfelt welcome to you. We are eager to hear your insights, and I now invite you to take charge of the proceedings for the evening.
Thank you, Surabhi, for inviting me. And before I begin, I would like to, I'll say, share my throat is I'm not able to, because I'm feeling so much nostalgic about meeting sir and the extra mile coming back on the session. Our journey started during the lockdown times, and we did lot of sessions and lot of learning happened. I do learn on this platform a lot, and today I'm here to share how to prepare and how to do well with whatever preparations we have done in our schools for children. Because yes, as Biju sir mentioned, that most of the schools have done their portions, and now is the time to use the time effectively, so that we or the children are able to make the maximum of whatever they have absorbed during the year. So my suggestion to all of you is to listen carefully. I will be talking about the how the paper is prepared and what kind of questions are there, what are the changes if many of you are thinking, and what about the rationalized syllabus which is there, which is not there. I will be highlighting on that. But if you are thinking I am going to teach physics, chemistry, biology, I am not going to do that. That is, you have to depend on your subject teachers. But yes, definitely, as the name indicates, tips and tricks, I am here to deliver that. So once again, thank you Extra Mile for this opportunity. And I would like to express my gratitude to Dr. Salam sir, Mr. Biju Pillai sir, and all the teaching fraternity who are gathered here to listen to whatever little I have to offer. So I will be sharing my screen to start with my presentation. 1 second. So I think it is visible to all.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
My presentation, yeah. So before we start with the science question paper, it is very important for each one of us to know, why do we study science? If we know how to communicate by studying the languages, if we know how to calculate by using mathematics, if we already know we are a social animal living in the society by studying the social sciences. So what is the role of science? And that is what will help us to see why these different kinds of questions have been framed in order to make a society a scientific thinking society. So the first thing, which why do we study science? It is mainly to help in building the problem solving skills, questioning skills, testing skills, theorizing skills. All the people with scientific bent of mind do not believe with whatever they hear. So they always try to question and try to reach to a logical conclusion to that question, and try to relate the scientific fact behind anything, any natural happenings or social happenings which are happening around them. So it is very important for us to develop such skills in our children, because today's children are going to be the tomorrow's society. Secondly, it is to develop the understanding for technology. uh, we all know we are surrounded by the world, which is and I'll say laden with society, with technology. Currently we are connecting, sitting in different parts of India through technology only. So it is when we have a scientific bent of mind, we are able to understand technology, and being analytical, we are able to come to a logical conclusion to any problem. So we are able to solve problems better without getting emotional. Then improving observation. It is very important, because observation is one thing which we all know leads to learning. So when we are not watching or seeing, we are observing. So when we are watching or seeing with a purpose, that is what is observation. Many of us, we know that the weather is changing, the color of the leaves are changing, the leaves are falling. So a lot of changes are happening around us in the nature. That is also science. So if we learn to observe the things with a scientific attitude, I think we will be able to draw a lot of conclusion and do a lot of problem solving, and not get into problems. Also, we can avoid problems by having good observation skills. Then, of course, scientific people are systematic, and we are able to interpret, not we, I'll say all the people who study science are able to interpret data very, very naturally. It comes to them. If, let's say, the temperature are rising, we know, then what is the reason behind it, and what will be the why. If we observe the data for a week, so what will be the weather, or whether what will be the heat conditions, looking at the how the gases will be moving, what will be the movement of air. So this is what is, they are able to interpret the data. So these skills are very important, and that is why a lot of banks are also hiring people with science background. This is because of their this ability of interpretation of the data. And definitely science reflects social values. Until and unless we knew that 99.9% of genetic code is same for the blacks, for the whites, for any kind of races. So this draw a lot of, I'll say, uniformity and equality in the society. People who were thinking that because of their skin color, because of their hair color, they are superior. So that is also, it has also added to the social values, and especially for the women and men also. Earlier, the women were, I'll say, they were paid lesser than, they were considered less equal to men. But now the things are different. So it is also because of the science that this has happened. And of course, science brings peace to the world. We know the impact of all the, we'll say, all the nuclear bombs and all that will have. So that brings peace to people in the mindset of the people, that this will be the consequence if we do not maintain peace. This is there. And last but not the least, we have learned to become a global village when we have opened our hearts and doors to people from all over the world to visit each other and learn from the different kind of societies and practice that. So this is something which is the purpose of science education. So keeping all these things in mind, we should teach science or we should learn science. So these are the, I'll say, the basic skills or the key skills which any science teacher or science students should nurture in themselves, nurture in their own learning process by using these things. then now we cannot just teach anything in science. It has to be.
Poonam ma'am, can I
Yes,
interrupt? Can you put it on slide mode?
slideshow.
Slideshow, yeah.
Yes. 1 second. So I think it is good. Yes, sir. So thank you
Yeah,
for that.
thank you.
Yeah, because again I said ki it's after a long time. So I've little okay. So now we cannot just teach anything in the curriculum or anything. So it has to be based on the national curriculum framework. And teaching of science, when we talk about secondary stage, it includes that learning science. It should include learning science in a composite manner. It should not be a specialized physics, chemistry, and biology, though most of the schools are teaching that way. But then the levels have to be that they can be interconnected with each other and working with hands and tools. So when we talk about tools, we talk about all the scientific lab material which are there, the test tubes, the microscopes, I'll say the pipettes, all these things we should learn to use this, and that is going to bring a clarity in the concept of whatever we are learning in that. And ultimately, whatever we are learning, whatever curriculum we are following, it should be, the children should be I'll say trained to look after the environment and understand that health is the best wealth in the world. So keeping that in mind, then when we talk about, NCF recommends that experimentation as a tool to discover, to verify, and to verify theoretical principles. So when we talk about, let's say, Newton's law of motion, or let's say we talk about the role of water, the role of sunlight in photosynthesis, so how the acid and base results in formation of salt and water. So all these things should be tested in the laboratory so that children know it is not a hypothetical thing. These are the facts, how the scientific principles are hold true in that. So when we are following all this thing, definitely experimentation skills improve. Criticability, we are able to think critically. The projects when we undertake lead to help us in problem solving, nurturers. So we become problem solving by nature when we learn that if this kind of, let's say, this test did not come true the way it was mentioned. So then we'll start thinking what went wrong. So whatever went wrong, we will try and find out. It could be 1, 2, 3 possibilities. And then we can test that which one is true. And then when we get the validity of the test in the same manner as it is mentioned in the books, we will be able to do that. So these are the recommendations of National Curriculum Framework. So the teachers who think whatever in the exam, nobody will ask you how to measure or how to transfer or all these things, whatever we are doing in the laboratories. In many schools, I have seen, I have heard through different principals or different teachers when we interact on different platforms, why to waste time? It is when the marks will only be based on that 20 marks, so we will give 80 marks are more important. So let's focus on teaching. So if we will be focusing only on chalk and talk and rote learning, I'm sorry to say that the children will not be able to solve the question paper, which are now modified as per the NEP 2020 as competency based education, which NEP promotes competency based education. So if we are not going to conduct all these experiments, hands-on things, and give them projects for analyzing the situation and give them problems for solving, the children will not be able to do as well, very well as you must have put in your hard work in their rote learning. So now coming to the for this I have already done. Yeah, I think 1 second. Yeah. So now the question is, what's the change? So when we say that the change is, as I mentioned just 1 minute before, rote memorization will be taking a backseat. It will not be wiped away. Please note that all the definitions, principles, all the terms, they have to be used as it is given, all the laws as it is given in the book verbatim, word by word. So rote learning will also be there, but then along with that, we will be nurturing the critical and creative thinking systems. We will be nurturing them so that that is why the case study, that is why the assertion reason questions have been added in the question paper. It's not just 1 marker, 2 marker, or 3 marker. It is also that the different kind of the case study, application-based questions, they lead to critical thinking and creative thinking. Then we all as teachers, we know, we go to the class that today I am going to complete this portion. So that is what we go with the learning objective is, I am going to cover this portion, let's say photosynthesis. I'll be talking about, let's say life processes. So I'll be talking about respiration. So then the children will be able to answer the questions based on that. So this is what the learning objective used to be. But learning outcome is something which is visible. Visible means in terms of skill enhancement, in terms of attitude development, in terms of values which the child displays after learning that. So learning objective along with the abilities and skills leads to learning outcome. So that is what is the change has to happen in the teaching style of the teachers. So then the change is also about, we were only focusing on knowledge before. Now we have included the skills. As I said, the laboratory usage, the practicals, all that are very important. So some can be, the practicals are already given by the NCERT books. But then there are in text some activities also. So those activities are also important because that will lead to a clearer understanding of the concept that is there. So from only knowledge to including of skills and attitudes. Then the last thing is aligning the learning outcomes with assessment. So in earlier times, we used to have these practicals. Even when I was in school, the practicals were being held. But then the questions, questions were coming from the theory book only. So there was no, other than the practical marks, there was no role of the practical learning. Whatever the child has learned to analyze was nowhere being tested. Now those whatever activities, practicals are there, so they will be linked to the assessments. So the learning outcomes will be linked with the assessments. So that is why the question paper will also include the questions which are based on the practicals, or the practical part of the theory which we do in the science classes. So there was a circular dated 3rd April 2024. So it mentioned about the multiple steps towards implementation of competency-based education in schools, ranging from aligning assessment to competencies. So that is why the different skills, IT skills, the practical skills, the eye-hand coordination skills, the calibration skills, all those skills needs to be developed. Collaborative skills, the projects have to be done. So that the child becomes, or child learns in the process of learning science, all these small life skills also. So when he goes into the college or job market, he has all those skills developed in them to become a successful science person. So then question comes, what are the changes? In 2024-25, why are we having this session? Because it is the same as last year. So there are no major changes. So my dear children and teachers, so don't be worried that the paper is going to change. Yes, the paper pattern has changed, but it is similar to the one which the children wrote in last year. That is 23-24. So there are 50% will be competency-based questions. The select response type, that is the multiple choice questions, will be 20%. Constructed response means the short answer type and the long answer type will be 30%. So there are no major changes. So just remember, 50% will be competency based. So all those skills which will be nurtured while doing these things will be also assessed. Now, the general instructions, we all have read this thing so many times, but then this is the right time when we talk about that all questions are compulsory, and internal choices of 33% are there. 50% marks, once again, it is written for competency-based questions. So there will be 5 sections. Section A will be having 16 multiple choice questions and 4 assertion reasoning type questions. So there will be of 1 marks each. Section B will be having 6 short answer type questions carrying 2 marks each. Section C will be having 7 short answer type questions carrying 3 marks each. Then 3 long answer questions of 5 marks each. And then the last one, 3 source based questions, 1 from physics, 1 from chemistry, 1 from biology will be there. But in this, the questions will not be long answer, short answer. Depending on the type of question, they will be either 1 mark, 2 mark or 3 marks. So a question which is of 4 marks, like 4 marks each. So it can have smaller questions bearing the values of 1, 2 or 3 marks. So once again, so there is no change than last year, but then we all know case-based, passage-based, integrated units have been added in the question paper along with MCQs, short answer, very short answer and long answer type. So this is very, very important, and the success or 100% score which any child will get lies in that how they are able to relate whatever is there in the book to the normal life around them. So lots and lots of examples should be given while teaching related to the concept which a teacher is teaching in the class. So the course structure, we all know there are 5 units. So the first unit is of 25 marks, chemical substances, nature and behavior. Then world of living, again of 25 marks. Then natural phenomena, 12, and effects of current, 13 marks. And natural resources is of 5 marks. So total paper or the weightage is 80 marks. And internal assessment, which includes the practicals and subject enrichment activities and the periodic test, all that is of 20 marks. So 100 marks have been awarded to the science exam in the board exam, science 10th class board exam. Now, when we talk about unit-wise weightage, 1 second. So when I say this, chemical substances, natural behavior, the chapters which are there, chemical, so it is important to know the chapter. Sometimes children confuse कि physics का कौन सा है, chemistry का कौन सा है, bio का कौन सा है. So it is important that they should know that chemical reactions, acid bases, metals, non-metals, carbon-anic compound, which include 25 marks, belong to the chemistry part. Life processes, control and coordination, how do organisms reproduce, heredity and evolution is again of 20 marks. Then the natural phenomena, light, human eye is of 12 marks. Then effects of current, electricity, magnetic effects of electric current, partial it is written because the syllabus has been rationalized. So again, it is of, that also is of 25 marks, and our environment has been is of 5 marks. So this is the weightage, unit-wise weightage, or the chapters which are included in the question paper of science. That is that. Now let's go to the question paper design. So when we talk about question paper design, as I mentioned earlier, there will be 20 multiple choice questions. So out of those 20 multiple choice questions, there will be 16, which will be, the options will be given, multiple options, and you have to select any one. So they can be direct questions, or they can be concept based, or they can also be application based. But out of these 24 questions will be assertion reason type. I am going to give you example of that too. Then when we talk about small answer type, these are 2 markers. So we should always stick to the word limit. Many a time children, they like the topic, they have prepared it well. If it comes in the small short answer or a short, very short answer or a short answer type, they write the entire thing as a long answer. This is the biggest mistake children make. And that is why they lose on the time, because you will not get the marks weightage is of 12 marks. There will be 6 questions. So even if you write the whole page, you will not get more than 2 marks for that question, because that 2 marks have been fixed for that particular question. So it is very important to keep the word limit in mind. That is between 30 to 50 words. That is 3 lines to 5 lines. Then when we talk about 3 markers, 5 lines to 8 lines. When we talk about long answer, half a page or 1 page of the answer sheet which is there. So this is very important for us to know that otherwise you will not be able to finish the question paper. And then comes the case-based question paper, which is of 4 marks. As I told you, for each subject there is one case-based question. And so total questions are 39 and the marks are 80. So this is a triangle which all the teachers will be knowing. For children, it is something new or different. So I'll come back to it. So when we talk about the question papers, we all have understood that there will be 50% weightage will be given to competency-based questions. Now the thing is, if I am an average student or I am a child who has strong memory, so I love to read and write. So then what is the advantage for me? So again, I'm trying to tell you that the cognitive levels, because brain also worked at different levels. So the whatever the basics are, knowledge and understanding questions, they will be still 46%. That is the direct questions which are based on memory or a little bit of comprehension and understanding. When we talk about application of knowledge and concepts, it is of 22 marks. And when we have to formulate, analyze, evaluate, create, all these are HOTS. We all have been hearing HOTS. These are the higher order thinking questions where we have to correlate, where we have to analyze, where we have to create using the previous knowledge. So this is a higher order thinking questions. So based on this, what as a teacher, experienced teacher, I think the board has thought that no child should fail, but everyone should not get 100% marks. So that is what is the reason. That is why the higher order thinking questions, the child who has gone into the depth of the concept and the teacher who has taught all the concept using the practical skills, the audios, the videos, and the hands-on things, they will be only able to take the knowledge into application zone. So I'll go back to the Bloom's taxonomy. So the questions, children, which starts with classify, describe, discuss, explain, identify, locate, recognize, report, select, translate, define, list, repeat. All these are low order thinking questions. So these are, but then the ones who have sharp memory can do it quickly and they can get it like, the marks will come like I'll say the cash crops. I call these marks are the cash crops ones, the ones who went. Then comes the next middle level application of knowledge. So where you have to solve, numericals comes in application based, where we have to demonstrate, interpret the results, or a table is given, you have to find out the what is the how much, which say the wire has more resistance, less, where we have to operate, where we have to sketch, where we have to schedule. All these are application, and these three categories, analyze, evaluate, create, which is 26%, it is of higher order thinking, where we have to organize, compare and contrast, examine, experiment, question, argue, defend, judge, support, value, critique, give a critique, then evaluate, all these things, design, construct, develop, formulate. So all these are the higher order thinking. These are the, I'll say, the tips which you will know. These are not direct question. There must be some catch in it, and that you have to study and understand where that catch lies. So teachers need not, and children, don't be scared. Paper is not going to be all application based or all competency based. It will have direct questions, which will be 46%. So it is not a very difficult thing. So don't get scared of what you have already learned. But then now the thing is, you should extend your knowledge from the basic concept to the application of that concept. Now coming to the typology of questions, which we have already discussed, very short answer type, including objective type questions, assertion reasoning, short answer, long answer, source based, case based, passage based, Now, what is the difference? Sometimes people ask me, source based. So we have taken it from some source, maybe from a newspaper cutting, and it talk about that the AQI has gone down here, and last year it was higher in this time post Diwali. So then these are source based. The whatever question are coming, they have a somewhere they have been taken. Excerpts have been taken from either newspaper or magazines or some book or some kind of. Then case based, it is all that they will make a story that this kind of case has happened. Let's say the people living near the dirty water or all the tenements or the huts, they suffer from malaria very frequently. So they have made a story, made a case talking about that the mosquitoes are flourishing over there, and that is what. Then comes the passage based. Passage based questions can be it can be a beginning of the topic, introduction of the topic, but it can also be that the questions answers may be in from the passage, or the some portion of the knowledge will be there where you have to connect the first part with the second part. Then this is very interesting and most difficult, integrated assessment questions. Now, as we have seen, one second here. So this was, as I shared with you, these are the portions of chemistry. So the questions will have something from acids, bases, and salts and metals, or chemical equations or reactions intermingled. So it is not that you purely a question from this topic will come. No, the topics can be interconnected between the two different chapters of the same subject. It will not be with chemistry and bio or physics with bio or that. It will be between these chapters which are mentioned here in that. So I think this is very important for all of us to know that what are these integrated assessment questions, where the 2 or 3 concepts have been joined together in a subject to make a question. So once again, I would like to tell you, there will be always internal choice of 33% will be provided. Then we all are aware as teachers, internal assessments, and but for children, you have to earn these marks because the periodic assessments, the unit test, the class test, so it depends on the teachers and the school to plan how these periodic assessments will be given, which one will be included in your internal assessment. Then subject enrichment activity, which in sciences, it is mostly practical work. But then if we are doing some art integration project, that is also a part of the subject enrichment work, which we can be assessed or evaluated. Then comes the portfolio work. Portfolios have been spoken a lot about during the holistic report cards and other aspects. But I think the most practical way of concluding is through keeping a record of the regularity in submitting the notebooks, maintaining of the practical files, being regular, and as a personality, whether you are copying the work or doing your own work. So all that has to be kept in a record, which has to be presented to the teacher, and the teacher during the time of maybe internal assessment, and the teacher can assess you to know that you have done that work yourself. So if a project work has been given, you have been an equal participant in that. So these are the different parts of the internal assessments which we will be doing. Now, again, most of the schools, we have different teachers teaching physics, chemistry, biology. And it is always advised that we should have this, especially in class 10th level. And when we talk about integrated questions and case studies and all that, so these are little complex than the basic concepts which is being taught. So physics, there will be 2 MCQs. In chemistry and biology, there will be 7 each. In physics, there is going to be 1 assertion reason. So out of 4, 1 will be from physics, 1 will be from chemistry, and 2 will be from biology. Then 2 marker short answer questions, 2 from physics, 1 from chemistry, and 3 from biology will be there. Then coming about 3 markers. 3 marks will be from physics, 2 marks from chemistry, and 3 questions of 3 marks from physics, 2 questions of 3 marks in chemistry, and 2 questions of 3 marks in biology, and case study questions that I had already mentioned, 1, 1, 1. And then 5 marker also 1, 1, 1. So here it is the same, but here we have higher weightage of physics. One more question here. Here also one more question there. And here it is lesser than the biology. So all this has been, there has been a lot of thought gone behind giving which motion in which. See, children, there are numerical questions in physics. If we give the numerical question in MCQ, the child will spend more time to solve the numerical and get 1 mark for that. So if that numerical is a part of a 3-mark question, the numerical has to be solved. And when the numerical has to be solved, the child will get 3 marks of the answer, and even for the steps, even for writing the right formula, even for putting the right values in the formula, the children will be able to get. So the board always thinks for the benefit of the children. So I think I remember when we started with the MCQ, sometimes I think 2-3 years ago, I remember my children coming and telling me, my children means my school children coming and telling me, paper lamba tha, छूट गया. So then I asked him what happened. Then they said कि मैम जो 3 नंबर वाले क्वेश्चन थे वो MCQ में थे. So time तो उतना ही, whatever time was required, it was taken, but then the mark weightage was only of 1. So this is something which has been thought about, and that is what board wants the best for the children. So this is why, that is why there are lesser number of MCQ and more number of these questions in the physics, because knowledge-based questions are lesser in physics than that. So I hope till this point it is clear to all of you. So now talking about the assertion reason. So assertion is a statement. It is just a statement. So in this, the child has to find whether the statement is correct or incorrect. Then for that statement, there is a reason given. So whether the reason is correct, the statement of the reason is correct or not. Or then the third thing is the reason, assertion is correct, reason is correct, and reason, but reason is not for the assertion which is given. For example, we study this question. A convex mirror always forms an image behind it, and the image formed is virtual. So first the child has to think whether this statement is correct or incorrect. So so let's see whether it is correct or incorrect. So when we say, I'll take this again. Yes. So when we say that both A and R, assertion and reason are true, and R is not the correct explanation of A. So A is assertion, R is reason. So both the statements which were given were correct. This is also correct and this is also correct. But the difference is that R reason is not the correct explanation of A. So I'll just elaborate on that. A convex mirror is a diverging mirror, which means it can't focus light. The image formed by a convex mirror is always virtual, erect, and diminished in nature. The image appears smaller than the object, but it becomes larger when the object is brought closer to the mirror. So that is why the reason is not the correct explanation of the assertion which is given there. So now let's go to the next one from the chemistry. On adding dilute hydrochloric acid to a test tube containing a substance X, a colorless gas is produced which gives a pop sound. So when we hear the pop sound, hydrogen comes to our mind. When a burning matchstick is brought near it. The reason is, in this reaction, metal X is displaced by hydrogen. So A is true, assertion is true, but R is false. The correct reason should be hydrogen is displaced from acid by metal X. So when explanation is when the metal reacts with acid, it forms salt plus hydrogen. It is a displacement reaction in which metal displaces hydrogen from the acid. So that if you will attempt this question in a hurry, many of you will see in this reaction metal X is displaced by hydrogen. It should be the opposite. The reaction hydrogen is displaced by metal X. So this is something which many a time children will do it in a hurry and they will make it as a correct thing. So study every question, every line slowly and making a meaning of whatever you are reading. So now the next thing one is from the biology, assertion reason. The assertion is the number of chromosomes in a cell, in a germ cell, is not the same in any species. And the reason is when two germ cells combine, they restore the normal number of chromosomes in a species. So the difference A and R are true, but R is not the correct explanation of A. The difference in chromosome number between somatic cells and germ cells are the reproductive cells, the gametes, is necessary so that when two germ cells combine during reproduction, they restore the diploid or the 2n number. So I think you all have understood assertion reason, how you have to answer, and will always be a small trick which will deviate it from whatever you are thinking. If you are too obsessed with what you have learned, sometimes what happens, children, they see what they are thinking rather than thinking about what they are seeing. So it is very important to read the questions. These assertion and reason all are 1 mark questions. So you have to correct, and it will take little longer than a normal multiple choice question. So first you have to study the assertion, then study the reason, then find out whether assertion is the correct statement, reason is the correct statement, and then there will be 4 multiple choice questions. Assertion is correct, reason is correct, reason is the correct is the right explanation to assertion, or both are incorrect. So depending on what you have interpreted, you have to again put that knowledge in putting a tick mark on the one of the 4 options which have been given to you. Now, as I told you earlier, the case-based study questions. So the case studies we all have been thinking we used to talk about in business studies and accountancy, but now the cases are everywhere. When science in everyday life is a case only. So why the number of cases of dengue increases post-monsoon? This is a case study, and it is directly related to the science that the breeding points or the breeding places for mosquitoes increases, and that is why there is being a vector of dengue protozoa. So that is how it is transmitted. So this is a question, physics question, which is a case study question. Again, 1 second. I'll move this here. So this is a diagram. Okay. So this is an image which is given. The above image is of a reflecting telescope. So you can see that this is a telescope. They have given a diagram, put the mirrors, eyepiece, mirrors here, plane mirror, curved mirror. Reflecting telescopes revolutionized our ways of looking into the skies. They employ mirrors to gather the focus light rather than relying solely on lenses as in their refracting counterparts. These telescopes utilize precisely shaped and polished mirrors to capture incoming light and reflect it to a focal point, where it forms an image for observation. So then the question is, this is the case which they have mentioned, that talking about the telescopes and how these telescopes have helped the people, and they change the way by which they look at the sky. So what kind of image of the star is seen by the observer at the eyepiece? Think. I am going to share the answers. What kind of mirror is used in this reflecting telescope? So in this, you can see attempt either subpart C or D. So A and B, you have to give answer. And see, internal choice, as I mentioned, 30%. So here the internal choice is given. Attempt for either subpart C or D. So now when we talk about the answers to this. So the first is the real image. So what kind of image of the star is seen by the observer at the eyepiece? Is the real image. The final image is formed due to the lens at the eyepiece. Then what kind of mirror is used in this reflecting telescope? So this is a curved mirror, and this mirror is called the concave mirror. So in this, C or D has to be attempted. So a converging lens is used at the eyepiece to collect the rays from the plane mirror and help the viewer to see real erect image of the star. The answer for D is the plane mirror laterally inverts the image formed by the curved mirror, and its position helps to direct the rays towards the eyepiece. So I think you have understood. You have to be very. You all have learned about how the ray diagrams are formed for all the mirrors and how they are reflecting. Now, but comes the interpretation in the real life. So how a telescope functions by just placing the different mirrors and getting all the information about the universe through that. Now comes the chemistry. So you can see that they have used a hypothetical element A plus water. When we do electrolysis, it forms caustic soda. So we all know, children, caustic soda, the chemical formula is sodium hydroxide, NaOH. So plus there is an anode, there is a cathode. So we all know anode attracts cations or anions. Who will tell me? So I leave it to you. Then the second one, molten form of A. Molten form of A, when we electrolyze, cathode attracts the M and anode attracts the Y. So these are the some of the questions. So we have to derive the name of A, Y, Z, where is Z? Yes, M, metal, P and R, P and R. So improvise an activity to test Z. So then we have to write a test for Z also. How will we test that? So when we have this arrow, this means a gaseous state, I think. Yes. So name the process in which compounds X, Y, and Z are formed. From A, justify your response. So either B or C, out of this, you have to do the two. I'll share the answers with you. A is sodium chloride, Y is chlorine gas, Z is hydrogen gas, M is sodium metal, P is sodium ethanoate, R is ethyl ethanoate ester. Student to attempt either part B or C, an activity similar to the given figure, or chloralkali process. The process is called chloralkali process because the product from the chlorine and alkali for sodium hydroxide. So this is the answer for this question, which is a case-based question. Another case for biology. It talks about the earlobes. So this is the earlobe of Rahul's father. Rahul's father, and Rahul, you can see the earlobe. It is attached to the cheek of the child. Rahul's mother, it is separated from the body. Rahul's sister Nisha, again same that. So C, E and F. So these are the types of earlobes. So one which is attached and one which is separate from that. So this is a table in which they have put this in males. They are free are 36. They did a survey and found 14 are attached. In female, 31 are free and 19 are attached. So based on these observations, based on this table, you have to interpret the data, which I was talking about, interpretation of the data. So when we say the two characteristics, free earlobe or attached earlobes, appear to be dominant in this case. So why? Is the inheritance of earlobe linked with sex of the individuals? Give reason. What type of earlobe is present in father? So what type of earlobe is present in father, mother, Rahul, and sister? Write the genetic constitution of each of these family members. Gene for free earlobe is represented by F, and gene for attached earlobe is represented by F. So this itself tells that which is dominant. We all know that the capital F is for dominant trait and the smaller one is for the recessive trait. So this will help us in interpreting the answer. Free earlobe is dominant because it is found in large majority of the population. No, it is not sex-linked as per the data of the family. It is indicated that free earlobe is present in males as well as females. So the free earlobe, FF, mother is FF, free earlobe, the attached, so both the recessive are there, and Nisha has also the, I'll say, mixed alleles that is there. So this is how we have to conclude from that. So this is an example of biology based case questions. Yes. Now comes the data-based questions. Again, this is of 4 marks. So when we talk about this, the table given below shows the hints given by the quiz master in a quiz. So again, there are a lot of hypothetical things. C is used as a preservative. C has 2 carbon atoms. C is obtained by reaction of A, and misuse of A in industries, F in the form of heating. So based on all these hints, you will be giving IUPAC names of A and F. So had it been they have written that CH3COOH, write the IUPAC name of that, it would have been a direct knowledge-based question. But then they have not given you the direct things. You have to interpret a lot of things and then give so it requires 2 or 3 steps of thinking. And that is why it comes under higher order thinking question. The answer doesn't come by interpreting only one thing. So you have to interpret one thing, another thing, then build a relationship between the two, something else is formed, and then you form the right, come to the right conclusion. So the answer A is ethanol, F is ethene. Then this is the chemical reaction which is given there. Alkaline KMNO4 heat acidified potassium dichromate will give sodium acetate, then acetic acid. So this is something the children or the teachers of chemistry will understand in a better way. So I'm coming back to this. So this is what we call it as these are 4 marker questions. So there may be, they have given choice also in that. So the choice is also that if you are not able to do a difficult part, you can do the simpler part. So they have trying to assess you wherever you stand and give you some marks for whatever knowledge you are able to interpret from whatever the question is given. So whichever stage you are able to reach, you will be getting marks based on that. So another one, diagram based questions. So above image shows a thin lens of focal length. So this is a numerical kind of a question. Which kind of lens is shown? Real inverted image is formed nearly. So all these are, or another question. So they have given an internal choice also. So again, it's a numerical where you have to fill the values and get the answers. So convex lens, in this, whatever they have given, the object will be placed like this on the left of the lens, and that is how the answer will come to that. 2 rays. So again, all this has been done for you. You can go through it. The formula, simple. The formula has been given. U has been given. So F is R bound 2, focal length. So radius upon 2. So they have calculated. The answer has come. So image will be behind a mirror. So again, the same thing has been done for you. So I think diagram based questions can be in the form of numerical or can whatever. So you know that this is a convex lens. So a lot of theory or whatever you have learned, what kind of image a convex lens produces, you can always come back and relate that while solving these questions. Otherwise, it's an application based question. Numericals comes under application based questions. Then comes the practical or activity based. So NCERT mein whatever small in-text small activities are there, I request all the teachers, all the solved numericals to be done in the class, because a lot of questions, they are taken directly from the NCERT. So this is a question. It is a part of the MCQ also. You can see battery, and you have asked what is here question mark. The solution in the given figure, bulb does not glow. So that means there is no electricity being formed. So in acids, whenever we put electrodes, electric current flows. But when we nitric acid, sulfuric acid, carbon dioxide in water is carbonic acid. So then the answer will be alcohol, because the bulb does not glow. So even MCQs are not direct always. They are also application of knowledge, not at 1 level, but of 2 or 3 level. So even for getting multiple choice questions, you have to work a lot on your basic concepts and understand the question. So they have not mentioned that electrolysis is happening, but we know that battery is there, electrodes are there, but the bulb does not glow. That means the electricity is not flowing in the circuit. So when it is not flowing, means that there are no acid, there is a alcohol which does not transfer the electricity. So the correct answer is as ethanol that is there. Because ethanol does not dissociate in solutions to conduct the charge. So another question, glass prism, very simple, very basic. Diffraction, so a ray is coming, white light, it is diffracting A and B. So we all know white light say Vibgyor say. So violet and red at the two. So which one will be red, which one will be violet? So I think ray A is red and violet. So C is the correct answer. So violet deviates the most, red deviates the least. So B is violet and A is red. So wavelength of red is highest and that of violet is least. Angle of deviation is inversely related to wavelength. The length and the wavelength is more deviation. So this is the details or the theory behind this interpretation. Now coming to the another part, which is integrated assessment questions. If you remember, I told you that there are 2, 3 chapters, 4 chapters as a part of the syllabus in physics, chemistry, or biology. And when we interrelate these questions and make one question, that comes as the integrated assessment question. It does not integrate with any other subject. It integrates with the different topics of the same subject. So this is a very interesting one. Jitu drops his father's old mobile and charger in e-waste bins of one of the 13 Nokia priority centers of Chennai. In return for old mobile phones and chargers, Nokia provided him with in return for old mobile phones and chargers, Nokia provided him with pen stand, eco-friendly pencils. When Jitu's friends came to know about this, they too were inspired to drop their old unwanted mobile phones in Nokia e-waste bins. So contextual part, why is there a need to segregate e-waste? Value-based, why, what 2 values are shown by Jitu? So the value points are awareness, environmental sensitivity, responsible citizen or citizenship, or futuristic. So this is whatever they are learning, they are reflecting on that to the sustainable development goals, and of course, inculcating the 21st century life skills. This is one question which is integrated. Then Ramu from a remote village got an appointment in an MNC in Chennai. He was excited to spend his life in city, but the conditions in the city were threatening. He found overflowing garbage bins in street corners. He informed the municipality to clear it. So the question, contextual question, 2 ways in which overflowing garbage would affect the environment. Values will be what 2 values are exhibited by Ramu's action. So the value points, responsible attitude towards society, concern for clean environment, and definitely the awareness for that. So now this is what I have spoken about, the different types of questions, which will be a part of the say board exam paper. Now comes the tricks and tips for that. So the first tip, without even looking at my PowerPoint, I want to say, go through the syllabus thoroughly, go through the NCERT book. Each and every line is important. Each and every in-text question is important. Whatever is there in the box, all the activities are important. Read it again, I'll say read it thoroughly without leaving a single word. So whatever one line, if you will miss, there might be a question, which may be either, I'll say, a reason or assertion to any question which you are covering in that. So when we were talking about the syllabus, I mentioned that there are certain chapters in which have been rationalized. They were rationalized during COVID times. Until now, they have not been, I'll say, added upon. So they are still going in the same way. Many schools, they believe that we will teach because they will be helping in the concepts building in 11th and 12th. Many schools believe that we are preparing for 10th. So we will not teach that. So it's up to you how you take it. But then in the new books, new books, these are already deleted. They are not there. So I think the board has that in mind. So it will go on for a longer time. But then the ones who have borrowed the books from their seniors or elders, or they're using the old textbooks, so kindly the teachers, please ask them to take out a pencil and delete all these portions from the, because they do not, their time should not be wasted in reading the things which will not be coming in the examination. So you can take a screenshot of all this, but all the information I'm giving is already available on the CBSE website that is there. So focus on deleted topics. Ensure that you are aware of any topic that this year, to avoid unnecessary preparation or unnecessary waste of time. Then focus on activity-based questions from NCERT. There is a link you can take, or even if you type it, that activity-based questions from NCERT class 10, so it will be there. And the teachers' resources also, in that it is also there. So you can take all the activity-based questions, try to solve it, discuss in the classes, and discuss amongst yourself, and connect the scientific concept to the activity which is given there. Then, as I mentioned earlier, we have to master the NCERT textbooks. So conceptual clarity. So textbooks are the best resource for CBSE exams. Every line is important, as questions come often directly from the text. Solve in-text questions, all solved, unsolved, diagrams, tables, I think in the beginning somebody had asked the question whether diagrams will come or not. Why not? Why not? Yes, they will come. It depends on the paper setter, whether they give the diagram and ask you to label it, or ask the question, or they ask you to because in sciences, diagrams, whether it's ray diagram or the diagram of the heart or the nerve, all that are important. And we talk about chemistry, all the electrolysis things, all the things are important. So highlight the key points. So when we are reading the NCERT textbook, keep a marker or a pen or a sticky note. All the formulas, definitions, they should be underlined, and one should go again and again on these things, so that when we are defining something, it has to be the exact words. The keywords are very, very important when we are answering. So we should not dilute the answer by using a common day word for that particular scientific term. Then again, the examiner doesn't know you. As subject teachers, we know our children. So we have some kind of emotional connect with them. So when we are checking the questions in the pre-boards, we are little sympathetic, and we try and we understand, uska matlab ye tha hoga. So we do that. But then for the board examination, the only relationship between the examiner and the child is the answer sheet. So we should help the children to develop strong answer writing skills. Again, using the keywords, give the answers in point forms, structure your answers with relevant keywords and in point wherever possible. Then understand the marking scheme. Marking scheme is also there. I'll share it with Salam sir, and he will be sharing in the groups also. So practice previous year's question papers to understand the marking pattern and answer accordingly. Then use diagrams. Whether many times children argue, if a teacher will say, you have not drawn the diagram, that's why I've cut your mark. The child will say, ma'am, you have not written in the question that explain with the help of diagram. So if it comes with explain without mentioning the diagram, you have to draw the diagram. I'll tell you, a picture is worth more than 1,000 words. If the diagram is correct, if a mind map, if you have drawn a mind map, agar time kam bachta hai to draw a mind map. Even that will get you marks for that. Whatever, if you're not able to write all the sentences and all the answers. So you have to be very smart, and labeling has to be accurate. So if you are drawing, I'll say, any diagram of the biology, if it's a heart and all that, so you should know what all the chambers name are, where the valves are, which are the major arteries. All that needs to be labeled properly, and the spellings also should not be wrong in that, because then the concept marks may not be deleted, but then the impression on the examiner is definitely diluted on that. So you have to impress your examiner with the way you present the paper. So do not try to save the answer sheet and do all the ghachpach in one small paper. Leave 1 or 2 line after each question, which whatever is there. So if you something you remember later, you can add on to that. So it is very important. We have to develop very strong answer writing skills, and it is not developed in one day. So whatever test now you are taking, subject wise, class wise, unit wise, topic wise, type of question wise, that I'm talking to the teachers, please always supply the best, I'll say supply the answer key to that, so that the child knows where I have lost the marks. It is very important to share with them the perfect answer. So the perfect answer is the correct answer. It does not mean that it has to be elaborate. If it's a 2-mark question, so it should be between 30 to 50 words. This is what I want the teachers to tell the children, that if it is a 2-mark question, only this much is required. If it's 3-mark question, this much is required. So that amount of knowledge which we are going to write is also very, very important. Then comes the focusing on the application based questions. So again, we talk about the practical applications of scientific concepts. I've given lots and lots of examples of practical based questions. Then case studies questions also, where we have to interpret the data, where we have to draw conclusions. So again, there are lots and lots of sample papers available on the on the net also, and then the hard copies also many publishers are giving. So you can take any one and follow that in that. So that will give you create a question bank for you, and the children, when they start learn to answer the question in one way, it is becomes, so the more question they answer of case based or application, their mind starts working in that. So I'll say it is sharpening their minds for answering, like going, allowing them to think deeper to get into the answer from there. So it is very important for the teachers and the children to practice these questions, even if the questions may not come the same in the examination, but the way you are thinking, the way you calculate, the way you interpret the question and come to a conclusion, you learn that skill by solving. So like any other skill which we gain by practicing, the same thing happens. And again, we are able to manage the time. So time management is again a very important thing, which we all need to learn. So what in our school, many schools have different strategies. I'll just share what we are doing in our school. So on the basis of marks, so we tell the children to spend maximum time on questions carrying higher marks, because multiple choice questions can be done hurriedly also. But and अगर 5 mark का question अच्छा आता है और 5 marks में आप पूरे अच्छे से करते हो, तो 5 में से 5 मिलने के chances बहुत ज्यादा होते हैं. 4 में से 4 मिलने के, 3 में से 3 मिलने के. So whatever questions you know the best, you should do that. Attempt 3 marks questions, followed by case-based studies, then 5-mark questions. And then try and complete the other questions, come back to the MCQ in towards the later part. This is what we tell our children. Again, that it comes, whatever you are good at, the best answers should be done. But my suggestion is always attempt the question paper section-wise. So it is easier for the examiner also, and there is no question which is left unchecked, because when you are revising the paper after doing it, you will be always seeing that when we are revising the paper, you will be seeing, oh, I missed this part there are 7 questions in this section, I have done 6. So it is also easier for you to find your own. So time management is something, and when the reading time is given, spend that time on reading and trying to find out which section you are best at. And I think this comes, like, I have come to the conclusion of my presentation. And once again, I would like to express my gratitude to my science faculty who have helped me in compiling this, especially Parul ma'am. I think she's also there in the meeting. So thank you. And if there are any questions, I'll be able to answer. And I can quickly flip through the PowerPoint in case you want to ask something or revise something. I'll just go quickly.
We can take up questions. There were a few questions,
you.
Serapi ma'am.
Yes, yes, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am, for this very informative session. I'm sure it will be very helpful for the children and teachers to prepare them. A few questions that were there in the chat box. So, Miss Sunita wanted to ask, which you've already answered, will there be diagrams for biology? Miss Ansi had asked number of MCQs from physics.
Ma'am, I think
So a few people answered her question, but then there was a discrepancy. So she had asked for the slide which mentioned the MCQ number of MCQs.
I've shown that slide. I'm showing that slide.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am. And then Miss Soumya asked, is it necessary to mention state symbols in every chemical equation?
State symbols means like, can you elaborate on that?
So, Miss Soumya, I would request you to please raise your hand so that I can unmute you and you can ask the question.
But
So,
as far as science,
Soumya Prasad, yeah.
SI units are important. We need to use the unit. So without putting any unit to any numerical or any number, it doesn't mean anything. So it is important to use the SI units. State symbols, I'm not aware what she's trying to ask me by state symbols.
I think she's not there in the meeting right now, ma'am.
Okay.
So we move on to the next question, which was by Mr. Satya Priya. So the question was, will there be skill-based questions?
Yes, ma'am, I have been talking. Diagram is also a skill-based question. When we are interpreting the data, it is also a skill. When we are doing the numerical, solving the numerical. So competency-based examination means that skills are going to be an integral part of the education. So it's not only while teaching, but also while assessing. So that is why in the beginning, I mentioned this several times, that when we talk about competency based questions, 50% will be 50% weightage will be there. And when we talk about competencies, skills can't be left behind.
And one last question, ma'am, which was by Mr. Shashank, who is asking whether using a guide is helpful, whether children should be using guides for preparing for the exam.
See, ma'am, personally, I feel the ones who are very weak children, those who are have some like learning. So I have nothing against that, but then the guide should be of a proper publisher, because the content, there is no guarantee whether it's going to be correct or incorrect. So this is something which is, I think, a teacher should decide whether this child needs. But I think if a teacher has taught it, everything, and the child is an average and above average child, there is no need for guide. Guide only helps the children, those who wake up late for examination, and they want to, they have by under some circumstances they have not been able to attend school and classes. So it will be like a portion which has been made to clear the exam. So guide will not fetch more marks. But then sometimes when we talk about the writing skills, when we talk about the writing skills, so some of the questions, the model questions answers are also okay for that. The children who can't write their own answers, they can learn that, okay, this is how the answer has to be written. So it helps children, the ones whose language skills are not very good. But personally, I feel in a good school, guide is nothing. Teachers are everything, and
Right,
NCERT
ma'am.
book is the guide.
I think Miss
Excuse me, ma'am.
Preeti Sharma, yeah, she wants to ask a question.
Good evening, ma'am. First of all, good evening to everyone. My question is like, I think that Sunita ma'am was asking, should we need to write the states of gases, states of chemical things? Are they in gaseous states or solid state?
Yes, I mean,
Maybe.
it depends. Yes, now I understood. Yes, yes. So it depends on the question. It is not always, but then there are always symbols given there. As I mentioned in one of the reactions which I mentioned, I think there was an arrow above which is for gas. So it is always good to write that. It is not compulsory, but if the demand of the question is, we can write that. So sometimes like hydrogen, we all know it's a gas, but then it is always good to give extra information. I'll say that. We write only G and arrow for that.
Right, ma'am.
Yes.
And I think Miss Sonal is raising her hand. Ma'am, you can unmute yourself and
Good evening, ma'am. I had a question as a student that in the paper there are or questions or the optional questions. So in those questions, if I attempt both the questions in the optional one, so will I get marks for the correct question or the very first question that I've attempted?
First question, but some the ideally it is the first question which you have attempted, but sometimes CBSE sends ki give the benefit to children, but then as now since you have not attempted the exam, I would suggest you read the question, attempt only one which you know the best. So it is always the first one which is taken. The two options, the other one, best one, is not taken. No, it will be wasting your time.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
And also, there were two questions like whether we can share this PPT. What do you say, Poonam ma'am?
Yes, sir, I will say.
Yeah, please share with me so that we can share with all the
Yes.
registered participants.
Yes,
And
sir.
also, this video will be available on our channel tomorrow.
Okay.
If anybody else have any questions, they can raise their virtual hands. We will unmute them so that you can get all your queries cleared.
so I think we don't have any. Mr. Vishnu is raising his hand.
Yes, please.
Ma'am, my name is Vishnu as a student, so I didn't attend some of the PPTs which you have displayed. So could you share the channel name? Like I'm not in the
Extra Mile Education and Training. You can
well,
just browse. You can just browse tomorrow.
extra mile.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll also type the name of the channel.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
I have stopped sharing I'll be sharing the PowerPoint with Salam sir, and Salam sir will share with the in the groups, different groups.
Sure. Thank you. Anyone else? Any other questions? Otherwise, we can wind up, Serapi ma'am.
I think we don't have any more questions, sir.
Yeah, it was very clear. The presentation was very clear, actually.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Poonam ma'am. It was a wonderful presentation and so many tips and tricks to excel in the examination, not only for children but also for teachers as to how to go about teaching throughout the year and for the 4 months that is left for the exam. So very, very useful. Thank you so much.
Thank you. It's all my pleasure. And in a small way, if I am able to help any teacher, any child, I'm really, really grateful to God for that, giving this opportunity. Once again, I'm really, really thankful, Dr. Salam sir, for this opportunity.
Yeah.
And look
We
forward
are
for
very grateful to you, ma'am. I think one Oppo has raised his or her hand.
Yes, yes.
Mr. or Miss Oppo can speak. Or is it Master?
The participant whose name is being displayed as Oppo A1K, you can please speak. You can unmute yourself and ask your question.
I think he is not able to or he doesn't want. Anyway, thank you so much, Poonam ma'am. Once again, it was very clear, well prepared and well presented.
Thank you.
With apt examples. So everybody wants to have this PPT. That is the reason, because whatever they were looking for are there.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes. We have
One
tried
thing
to look into that actually, and I took we had a lot of discussion with my science teachers, and this is the result of that actually.
They know the pulse. They know the pulse. Yeah, correct.
Yes, that is
So I think there's Mr. Neil who's raising his hand.
Hello. Good
Yeah.
evening, ma'am.
Good evening, sir.
Yes, ma'am. I'm a student, and my doubt was that sometimes there have been some cases where the questions that are there in the CBSE paper have been wrong. So, in
Hmm.
such cases, is it always necessary to write the at least the answer number?
Yes, you should write the answer and whatever you think about the question. In such cases, when the questions are wrong, CBSE gives whatever answer you write, they give full marks for that. So it is always never ever leave any question unanswered. This is the biggest tip I am trying to give to all the children, because there is no negative marking. So even if it is wrong, that's okay. But if in case the question is wrong, if you have not written the question number or not attempted the question, then you will not be given those marks. So it is very important, Neil, that you should attempt all the questions, even if you think it is may not be right. That is. Thank you,
Thank
Neil.
you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Again, I would like to extend my gratitude and appreciation for such a wonderful, enlightening session. And we are much more better equipped now to train our children for success in the upcoming board exams. Dear participants, please note the link has already been shared. Link for the certificate and feedback has already been shared in the chat. On behalf of Extra Mile Education and Training and BTAG, I, Surabhi Vyas, would like to express a sincere thanks to Ms. Poonam for sharing her valuable insights and words of wisdom. I would also like to extend a special thank you to Dr. Abdul Salam for his unwavering support and for providing this wonderful opportunity. And last but not the least, a huge thank you to all the participants for your incredible enthusiasm. We sincerely hope we have earned the privilege of your time.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Surabhi ma'am, for your wonderful help.
Yes, thank
You have been very careful in noting the questions and preparing for the answering
you. Yes.
the participants. Thank you so much for the help you have extended. And Poonam ji, I received your PPT. Thank you so much.
Because I knew that because being so busy now also on personal front, it becomes ki abhi kar do.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you. And definitely this will be helping a lot.
Yes.
Or a lot of students also will be benefiting from the PPT. Please be connected with us. Come often on this platform and share the knowledge you have, as a CBSE master trainer and resource person.
Yes,
Still, you are working for Panchkula, right?
yes,
CEO?
sir. Yes. CEO
Okay,
Panchkula.
COE.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
Panchkula. Thank you so much once again. Thank you,
Thank
Surabhi ma'am. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
you.
Have a good night, everybody.
Thank you.
You too, sir.